Everyone, you may have seen my first video from this page. This is from Nice Little Town Halloween by Tatiana Bogema Stolova, and I did this cauldron, so if you haven't seen this one you can go back and have a little look at that later. I try and remember to put it in the description, otherwise you'll find it on my channel page, but I'm going to do a little bit more of this page today, and I thought we'd do this little bit here. Now I'm just going to move my book a little bit under my pencils. I'm going to be using my Polychromos again, but I thought this bit is a little bit more autumnal rather than being so Halloweeny, but that is absolutely fine with me. I'm just going to have to zoom out. Oh, wrong way. Just a tad to fit it all in. There we go. So we've got this it's almost, I think, like a cornucopia. So we've got this little sack or something here with some corn and peas in. And then we've got leaves, we've got lovely berries as well. I thought it would be a really fun picture to colour. So I'm going to start actually with the berries, my favourite thing to colour. And I'm just thinking about what colour to do them. You know, we've got this Halloween theme page. I'm thinking orange. Probably the way to go, but I'm going to do them not really bright orange. We're going to do them more of a so I'm going to actually start with the Sanguine, which is a slightly sort of almost dull colour. I've just realised my lamp is probably not on the best setting. I don't know if that's going to be a bit more helpful. Anyway, this is the Sanguine. It's really horrible, lovely weather, but horrible for recording because it's such bright sunshine, and I've got to shut the blind, but it's still coming in the side and upsetting my camera. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put a little layer of my Sanguine at the bottom of each of my berries, like that. Now I realise they're touching each other and shadowing each other, but what I'm going to do to start with, I'm going to concentrate on colouring each berry in the way I think it could potentially look. Then I'm going to worry about where I think shadows might fall after. I find it a little easier to do it in that order. So where there would be a shadow along here, we'll deal with that later. What I'm dealing with now is thinking about the shape of the berry. And I'm thinking it's going to be a bit darker at the bottom, so I'm just putting this slightly darker colour down. And I'm going to switch colours in just a moment. This one's at the back, so it's going to be a little bit darker. Just checking I've done them all, and I think I have. Now I'm going to probably I'm going to go for the cinnamon next. This is 189, it's quite small. Now I am going to put some orange on, but I just want it to be a bit more muted. I think if I put a layer of the cinnamon down first, then I think that will help. So basically I'm putting quite a few layers of it down here, and then less as we go up the berry, like that. But I want some cinnamon over all of the berry. Now the berry will have shine, but we can draw that on afterwards with a white pen, which is, I find, a lot easier than trying to leave white paper. You can leave white paper and people do it brilliantly, but I'm just not very good at doing it that way, so I have a different method. It's what colouring's all about, really. You know, enjoying yourself, and if something you find doesn't work for you or is too tricky, try and find a different method. There's no one right way of doing anything, you know. You can adapt for your own needs. So now I'm going to move to orange. I'm going to use this orange. This is the orange glaze, I think. You'll see why I say I think when I finish sharpening it. It doesn't, it ends in number 1-3, hold on. Yeah, that's the orange glaze. I'm going to follow the same sort of way of doing it, making it darker at the bottom and lighter as I go up though. Like that. And you can see how it brightens, which is what I want, but without being too vibrant and sort of overtaking the whole picture. I haven't really thought about what I want to be the focal point. I know what some people do is they decide on, excuse me, I can't talk. They decide on what they want to be the focal point of their picture, and they make that really stand out, and then everything else slightly more muted. I'd sometimes do that, but with this picture there's so many lovely, cute, different elements going on. I don't think I'm necessarily going to worry. Just going to colour each one and see what happens really. I mean, you would be aware that if you coloured something bright red and nothing else red in the picture, that would really stand out. So you know, you'd have to think, is that what I want? So, oops, I missed quite badly there. Never mind. There we go. Now the bottoms now aren't really quite as dark as I had planned. I'm just having a look to see if I've got a darker colour I can use. Yes, I think that one's going to work. I'm going to use the burnt sienna. It is quite dark. I'm going to be careful not to put down too much, particularly to start with. Just darken it a little bit. Just at the bottom. They look quite like oranges, I think. My mind is thinking rowan berries. I wonder if they're supposed to be a very specific type of berry. I'm going to make this one quite a bit darker because it's behind. Right, we're nearly there. Sorry, I'm concentrating and not talking. There we go. Now you could add some yellow on on the tops to make them more vibrant. I think we'll do that. It's quite fun. So this is a Naples yellow. I'm thinking something slightly more muted. We'll just put it on the tops. They just look a bit then like they're catching that light wherever it might be coming from. This lantern maybe. That's quite fun. There we go. Now we need to put those shadows in. I think I'm going to use a dark brown. I was going to use my dark sepia. It's a little bit grey, so I think I'm going to go in for brown instead. This is the walnut brown. And I'm just going to draw in just a little bit here and there. Ooh. That's a bit wider than I'd hoped, but when my lead snapped, it made me draw in the wrong place. But never mind. It is done now. Just put a shadow under there as well. A bit of stalk stem. I was told the difference once by some kind person, and I've forgotten. There we go. And if you have a look from a distance, you can see they look more like they're not all flat because we've got a bit of shadow. I think there might be a bit of shadow there too. Like that. Okay, now I need to do the stalks. I want to do them in a browny green colour. So I'm going to grab this one. This is the earth green. No, hang on. It is the olive green yellowish. olive green yellowish. And I'm going to do all these stalky bits. They're quite thin, so I can't really do much more than just block them in with colour. So that's what I'm going to do, although I'm going to try and fade this bit a little bit. Make it dark near there and fade it up here because we've got some behind. And the ones behind would naturally be darker in the shadows. So I'm going to make this bit a little bit lighter like that. And then go in here a bit darker. Like that. I think it all sort of makes sense. I'm just going to make those edges a little darker. If you darken the edges a bit, it makes it look slightly more three-dimensional, which is always nice. So there we go, it looks a little bit more rounded. Okay, now we've got leaves. What I'm going to do is do this bottom, leaving those two the same, and then I can pull the page down and come in a little bit more so you can see a bit better. I might have to adjust the colour on this video when I edit it, I think, because it's rather dark. So I'm going to use this same green to start with. I've just realised we haven't done the little bits of dead flower at the bottom of the petals. I shall do that in a minute. I'm going to take this all the way to the end. I'm really going to layer it up here near the berry, near the top, and fade it quickly down to the bottom. I'm going to do the same here, so there's more layers up here. And then less down towards the tip, like that. Okay, and I am going to use the earth green yellowish to just finish them off. It's a bit more greeny than the other one, which is a bit browner, but they go together really well. I'm trying to think, I think I'm going to use the walnut brown for the little flowery bits. They're often really dark brown when you see them on various fruits. So, and berries, fruits and berries. So I shall do that, I think. And then we'll, as I said, we'll move. Have I used the walnut brown? Yeah. Oh, I used that for the shadowing. I think we can use it for this too. Sometimes they're a little bit paler, but I'm going to draw this down. Sorry. And come in a bit closer. She come more into the middle. There we go. These two leaves, I don't want them too different to these two. I'm also trying to work out what that is in there. I think it might just be some shadow. So I think I'm going to do them really quite similarly and use the Chromium Green Opaque for the tips. I'm going to reverse it and make them darker on the tip. And then fade, so less layers now. You go down like that, and then here, so we've got darker tip, and then less as we go down. Gosh, I'm so thirsty to go and get a drink in a minute. I can't boil the kettle though because my son is streaming and the kettle is in the sitting room, so I have to have some water, but that's okay. It is, oops, can't see the name, there we go, May Green. It's quite a new one, look how nice and long this is. Lovely. So I'm going to put more layers at the base and just fade it towards the tip, so the two colours blend together. And then we need to think about the colour to do for the sort of bag, container, whatever it is that's holding the peas and the corn. I think I'm going to quite like to do it in the terracotta actually. Here it is, the terracotta. I think it'll go with the berries, but slightly redder. I will add some other colours to it as well, I expect, in a minute to get some shadows in there and some shading. I'm just going to put a terracotta colour down on the page to start with. Like that. I think what I'll do is I'll put an extra layer down the areas where I want it to be darker. Like that. I think it would be darker on the edges under this rim. Like that. Just fade it a bit in towards the middle. There we go. And then I think this bit, although I want it to look a little lighter, I'm going to fade that towards the middle a bit too. There we go. I don't really want the container to stand out massively. I'm quite looking forward to doing these little corn pieces. I'm just looking at my colours. I think I'm going to go for the green gold to start with. I should just give it a sharpen. Now I'm thinking I start with a whole one, that it'll be darker here and then fade towards the tip where we then introduce another colour. So I'm going to do that on all of them. It's a little bit tricky on these ones, you can't see the whole of, can't quite work out where to put the colour, but I'm sure it'll all be fine. So I'm just fading it up. Just do the same on every one. Such a pretty colour, so nice doing a sort of goldish colour, but it's quite an easy gold. You know, sometimes, you know, golds can be so many different colours and you've got to sort of work out where you're going to change colour, where the light's going to be, etc. I sometimes find it a little bit daunting, although I do a lot of gold. I have to sort of think hard about it and make decisions, and you know, this is easy in comparison. So, yeah. Just now these, that they do look like pea pods to me. Saying peas and corn is really odd because obviously this is maize, or could be wheat or anything really, but I'm thinking corn because it looks like a cornucopia. But this sort of maize, when I say peas and corn, when I was young I was really fussy with my veg and I didn't really eat, and my mum used to often just give me peas and corn. So when I say peas and corn, I think of peas like green garden peas or petit pois, Naples yellow. We've used it already down here. I thought it'd be nice to use it here too. And basically I'm just finishing them off. It's really simple. And obviously sweet corn, we would have the sweet corn off the cob, not corn on the cob. As much as I like corn on, I can't eat it now because I've got a broken tooth. It's chipped. My front bottom tooth is chipped, so I don't bite things because I don't want to make it worse. It's not too huge a chip. It's okay. It doesn't need filling or anything, but I have been warned that I might need a root canal filling in it eventually. Ugh. So I try and look after it so I don't want that. Or else it would be an implant, which again a bit expensive. There we go. Now where these overlap, there'll be a little bit of shadow. Just trying to find the right colour. I'm thinking the this raw umber would probably work quite well, and I'm just going to put it, a little line of it in here. down here and then maybe a little bit along the edge there. Like that, just a tad, so it looks a bit shiny. Now we get to our peas. What colour are peas? Permanent green? No, this one I think. What colour is this? What? Permanent, is this permanent green olive? Hang on, bear with me. Yes, permanent green olive. You can see why I was confused. I'm going to start with that. Now we've got to think carefully with this because of the shape of the peas are going to be creating their own sort of shadows. But I'm just putting down a really light layer to get me started, and then I shall get thinking. I'm sure it'll all be fine. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is think about these circles. So I'm going to go around here, harder here and less there, so it looks more rounded, and do the same on each one. Still using the same colour green, like that, and like this, and again here, like that, and hopefully looks like we've got a sort of rounded shape. But what we do need to do is that the background would be darker. This bit around here. So I'm going to have to grab a darker pencil in a minute and fill in a little bit of a darker colour. That bit. Like that. Now, I'm thinking I might do this bit with this there, down there, and along here. Now, a darker colour. Yeah. We use the Chromium Green Opaque. And we'll put underneath each pea, there'd be a bit of a shadow. Maybe it would show up there. Like that. And then I'm going to grab my permanent green olive again. Just go over that. And over the whole of this with quite a lot of layers, so it looks darker. That's the dog barking. Oof, oof. So I used to tell the boys dogs went oof, oof. It's a nice quiet noise. So when they were doing a dog impression they weren't shouting. There we go. Let's zoom out now because we are done with that section of the page. Oh, there we are. So you can see what we've been doing. So that is our next little section of the page done. There are lots of bottles which I think could be a little bit tricky, so I might show you those. Other bits and bobs, I'm not sure yet, to be honest. I will come back another day. I'm not going to do any more today, so I will make up my mind another day and decide quite what I'm going to do. But for now, that's me. I really enjoyed doing that lovely little section. It's very autumnal, very, very pretty, prettily drawn, so it's a pleasure to colour. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a really lovely day and happy colouring.